Hello and welcome to Fat Kid Fit Bod. I'm your friendly neighborhood trainer, Noah Sage Zimmerman. I'm a professional personal trainer based in Los Angeles, California, and I help men and women build bodies that look and feel strong. This podcast will focus not just on physical health, but also mental health and the challenges that make it hard to prioritize your health. I'm here to tell you how you can eat delicious meals, travel, work, build strong relationships, be social, and live the life you want, all while building and maintaining a body you love. With the help of other professionals and people that prioritize health, I'm giving away my best practices and reviewing emerging research in health and fitness so you can feel your best, look your best, and live life to the fullest. All right, welcome to episode 2 of Fat Kid Fit Bod. Today we have a guest. He is a LA transplant from Arizona. He's a business owner, an entrepreneur, a working model, aspiring actor, writer, director, and a fitness enthusiast. He's also a twin and one of 5 brothers. My dear friend, Lucas Serventi.
Hi Noah, how's it going?
Good. Oh, yep, yeah. Thank you guys. The applause was a little late.
Like most things.
Yeah, true. So, Lucas, you grew up like a fat kid, like I did, and found a lot of solace in superheroes, comics. I know you're big into anime as well. What was, why don't we talk about just growing up as a fat kid and how that has influenced how you see yourself today?
Well, it was interesting growing up, like you said, when you were introducing me. I'm one of 5 boys, so already like we were in a very hyper-masculine household. But for some reason growing up, there were like 3 of us, like in our body changing puberty journeys, we just started to like get bigger, and maybe it was because of diet, whatever. I didn't really have like any sort of diet growing up as a kid, like what does a diet mean when you're in elementary, middle school, even high school to some extent,
Yeah, especially the stuff they're feeding us in our school lunches. Like
exactly,
the pizzas, chocolate milks.
But thankfully, I did have a mom who made like me a good sandwich and apples and everything every day. And recently we did the math. It's like she's made over like 50,000 sandwiches in her lifetime. Just for
for 5 boys.
Yeah. So growing up, I have 3 older brothers, and so like you kind of saw their bodies changing at a different rate than yours. So like they would get their growth spurts, their body would start changing, they would start putting on muscle mass, whatever. And I just remember like Nico, who's my second oldest brother, he was like super chunky, and then all of a sudden got like a growth spurt, started working out, and his body just changed. And I was like, oh, when's this gonna happen for me and my twin brother? Because we were like mirroring each other, had the same exact, journey. And I remember specifically, like the moment it hit me, like I was a fat kid, I was in a department store with my mom shopping. And I was like, Mom, I don't want to try on these jeans because they have a giant H on them. And she goes, no, the H stands for handsome. And I started crying in the fitting room. And I said, no, Mom, I know it stands for Husky. I'm a fat kid. And it was just like one of those moments that you have with like a mom has with their child, and just like, oh shit, like society is creeping in, and like his own viewpoints of his body image and everything is starting to develop. But it's more so the fact that it was that difference between having like a female perspective versus a male perspective, because she was just thinking, oh, you're a boy, you're a guy, you can be plump and round and all this stuff, like it's not as bad for you, but it is, and I think that's something people don't talk about is, we see the Calvin Klein models, the Abercrombie models, like we see that just as much as girls see Victoria's Secret. I mean, nowadays, Kardashians, whatever, like it's just as bad for boys, I think. And now we're seeing even more cases of like anorexia and all that with guys. It's just not talked about.
Why do you think that it's more acceptable for guys to like let themselves go? Because I think that we more often than not, especially when, at least in like, heterosexual relationships, you often see like the woman maintain a certain level of fitness throughout their entire life. Whereas it seems like a lot of men, once they have kids, they just give up fuck all and just drink beer and get that beer belly and, don't try as hard, but it seems to be like acceptable.
Yeah. Dad bod is not like a term.
Yeah.
And some people like that.
But why do you think it's more acceptable for men to like go down that route than it is for women? Like, why do you think women are
I just
judged
think
more?
it's so much deeper in society because, even back in like Grecian times, or even I think in like, colonial days, if you were a heftier man, that was a sign of wealth. It was a sign of like fortune.
True.
And still back then you had women who had to wear corsets and all this, and there was I think this dynamic has been around for ages. It's not something new. We're just now it's synonymous with like capitalism too, and getting marketed and buying things and being a consumer, that it just makes you think about it a little bit more on like a daily, if not hourly basis, because you're just bombarded by everything these days, social media, advertisement. So yeah, I think the journey is hard for everybody, males and women. I just think that like dichotomy has existed for a while. For it okay to be a fat guy, not okay to be a fat woman.
Mm.
You know?
Your Husky jeans story reminded me of the moment that I like realized that my overweightness, fatness was like out of hand. I think I was like 8 or 9, and no, I was like maybe 10, and I had to I only had 3 pairs of shorts. I had like these blue ones, these red ones, and these yellow ones, and they're like the only ones that fit me. And my stepmom had told me that they needed a special order adult size waisted shorts at like child size like length. And I don't know if that was true, but man, it fucked me up, and I was like really put into perspective. Like, no, like there's a problem here, and I think scenarios like that, growing up, whether male or female, those things stick with you and definitely influence how you see your body today. So, going from Husky jeans moment to where you are now, I mean, what was the process? I know you said grew into your body and had older brothers that exemplified kind of growing into their bodies and putting on more muscle mass and getting more slim. But what was your process like? What did you do to start? Was it difficult? Did you have a trainer? Was it just you joined a sport?
So I'm a very balls to the wall, all or nothing, pedal to the metal type of guy. And when me and my twin brother weren't seeing like our growth spurt at the same time frame as like our older brothers, and I think it has something to do with the fact that we were twins and our development's just going to be different because 2 kids, gestation period, whatever, like I didn't get my growth spurt until I was like 16, 17, so I was into high school already getting bullied, and girls were telling me, oh, I'm not going to date a guy who's fat, you have to have a 6-pack abs and all this. And I was like, oh shit. So like, unfortunately, me and my twin brother like overcorrected, and we definitely malnourished ourselves. We were only eating like a bowl of oatmeal and an apple every day for at least probably 3 or 4 months.
Wow.
And then even darker, because guys do deal with it. Like there was a moment when we were together in the bathroom, he's like, we should try throwing up. I was like, let's just see if it works for us. And I was like, no, we're not doing that. And like we tried, and then we ended up like laughing about it, which is not a laughable subject. But I'm just trying to, illustrate that these issues do happen even to 2 young boys in a very hypermasculine household,
Yeah.
So I believe we ended up finding a good middle ground with our diet and everything. And it was also more fucked up because we're very competitive. And so it became this whole like relationship of, oh, how little did you eat today? Or how it was so fucked up. And like I talked about this in therapy and everything. Like even my parents know about it too. They're like, oh yeah, you guys like rapidly lost weight, and then we started stretching and like getting our growth spurt. But I joined cross country. I got into track, fell more into tennis, like just did all the sports and stuff. But like what didn't stick with me, like that whole mentality of like being a round boy, like stuck with me, because it wasn't until after I graduated high school where all these girls were like, yeah, like junior year you got like really hot. I'm like, did I get really hot, or did I just lose weight and become a body image that you're okay with? Because like my mind and my conversation and who I am is always there. So that shit was always annoying to hear.
Yeah, I think definitely growing up, I think we're all just mostly focused on what someone looks like, and I think that's what we base off what we like in a person. And then as we get older, when we finally at least this has been my experience, at least for me, not recently, but this was probably like 3 or 4 years ago, is that really the main reason that I started working out initially in middle school, high school, was to attract girls. And then when I finally achieved I think I went on my personal fitness journey to achieve like a very lean body is because I inherently didn't really like myself, didn't like who I am. And I thought maybe having this body would fix a lot of those issues. And then you get to the point where it's like
all of that.
Yeah. And you get the body you want, and you're like, why do I don't feel any better.
Why do I still feel this way?
Yeah. Why do I still feel this way? So, I mean, I don't know. Did you experience something like that? And then, I mean, I know, we're really good friends, so I know that you're in therapy and that you talk about this stuff, but like, what was it just like an immediate thing for you? Is like, I need to get into therapy and work on my mental game, my mental aspects as well? Or was it just a gradual progression?
I think it was a gradual progression. I think as I have gotten older or moved away from that, I've just educated myself more on, nutrition, or also like the bad stuff of what I did to my body, because I was like seriously malnourishing myself, and to what degree, just to be able to go on a date with a girl in high school, and that's I don't think that's stuck with me. I think like I have this belief that everybody has an eating disorder. I think it's just your relationship with food.
Yeah.
Some people have very healthy relationships with food. Some people have poor, and for me or other people, I'm sure it fluctuates throughout the week, fluctuates throughout the month, And I just think like your relationship with your body is like an ever growing and changing dynamic that, some days you're going to love it and other days it's going to be creaky. And as I'm getting closer to 30, it's like, oh yeah, I do start to feel more tired, or, oh, I do notice the benefits of rest days. And that's something that has, really taken me some time, because I'm such a pedal to the metal guy, working out usually, or moving my body 6 or 7 days a week, and I guess, some of that does sound like you were saying from like comic books and anime, because you see these guys that you want to embody, or even the toys or action figures we play with are like these jacked individuals.
Yeah.
Going even all the way back to like 80s, 90s He-Man that like my older brother was playing with, like it's all the same. It's all these like very masculine, in shape, jack dudes. And it's like, yeah, at some point you do want to embody that. You like, I want to look like Goku. I want to look like, Superman. And yeah, I guess it kind of fucks up with a kid's head, because it's, oh, I'm 12 years old and this is me again trying to rationalize it. It's like, these are 20 to 30-year-old men who have, they're athletes in their own right, superhuman, whatever. And I'm a 12-year-old boy who's husky jeans, crying moment, and I'm like, oh, I need to be that. I need to aspire to that. And I think we were having a conversation when we were walking and getting coffee. I was like, I think I'm the happiest I've ever been with my body right now.
I love that. I mean, it's so like, have you stepped back and like, do you like look at yourself in the mirror and like call out things that you like about your body? Because I think that, one thing that's helped me has been like, I mean, I used to like pinch like my stomach, and like when I was looking in the mirror and be like, ugh, like I hate that. But in reality, like, is there much to pinch? I think we have a certain idea of what we look like and what we think our bodies look like. And I think to another conversation, you and I were talking about how, whether I had this conversation with Rachel or you were having this conversation with your brother Max, if when we're feeling really down about our bodies and been like, oh, I'm feeling fat right now. And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you're so lean. Like, it's really amazing how like having that perception of your body from being a fat kid can totally influence what you see in the mirror today. So like one thing that I've done,
what you see.
Yeah, it's insane. It's so crazy. And I think that one thing that's helped me is just one thing that my therapist has had me do is sit in front of a mirror, just point out the things that I like and love about my body.
I think it's also just appreciating what it can do.
Yeah.
yeah, cool, I can squat 225 pounds, but oh yeah, my body's also able to just go on a walk with my dog,
Hmm.
or I remember one time I was in a scenario where me and my buddies were drunk in college and he jumped off of his roof and shattered his tibia and fibia. Like terrible accident.
Ouch.
And I
Which brother?
remember oh no, this is a good friend of mine,
Oh,
my friend who lives in Scotland. And I just remember in that moment being able to like deadlift like dead body weight and get him up on my shoulders and squat him up and take him inside. And I was just like, wow, like my body can do stuff like this. So I think it's appreciating, the aestheticness, cool, but knowing that in any given circumstance, like I am prepared to help somebody. I like a superhero,
yeah.
It's kind
I
of
think
weird how it
so
all
many
comes full
people.
circle. It's like I am prepared,
Yeah, I think
or I
so many
feel
people
prepared.
chase the aesthetics, whereas they should be chasing the ability to use their body in that capacity, and that realizing the aesthetics, if you have the right, if you're eating, you know, well, the aesthetics will come as a byproduct, as a side effect, as a benefit of the training that you're doing.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, like going back to what you were saying, like bodybuilding versus aesthetics or being functional versus, looking good. I think there is a good median between the two, you know? And I'm not a fitness model. I am not a trainer. I mean, my closest foray into the fitness industry is, managing the gym where Noah trains his clients.
I mean,
And
you are a working model, though.
so, yeah, but what's funny is like all of the gigs that I've gotten have all been like, I am completely clothed. So even to some extent, I'm thinking like, you guys, the goods are under here. I don't know if you want to utilize it, but they're there because I work hard on it. Uh, so it's interesting that even when you get to that point where you're like in LA working and getting paid to do these gigs, it's I don't know, it's like interesting how much time you can put into something and I guess not utilize it, you know, or like the
Well,
aesthetic aspect of it.
I think ultimately, like, it's just for us, right? Because I don't think
Hmm.
ultimately people totally care anymore as we get older what your body looks like. And I think the, achieving a certain level of leanness or musculature is just for you as an individual. Because
Yeah,
no one cares ultimately what you look like.
true. Yeah.
Like to your point earlier, in high school, people don't care about your personality. Like, well, I mean, a lot of people do, I guess I should say, but they're more focused on the physical nature of it. Whereas as you get older, you are looking more for friends, partners that love you for you, whatever it is you look like. And I think one thing that's helped me with my body dysmorphia is really trying to focus more on improving my personality, self-confidence, mental outlook on life, than focusing on the things that I could fix in my
Yeah,
body
for sure.
aesthetically.
And I think, and like knowing your triggers internally and externally, because I know I've had like a huge boost of confidence going to therapy, navigating and releasing myself from abusive relationships, things like that. Um, so yeah, I think it's always it's going to be a constant struggle because of the society we live in, but knowing that you can do, you can work on it from the outside in and the inside out.
All right, man. So next, I kind of want to like focus on our personal relationships with food and how you're able to like. I know you, you know me. We still enjoy going out to drinks. We still enjoy like all the foods that we love. So how have you like? How did you move away from your maybe negative relationship with food at growing up as a fat kid and like being very, you talked about how you just had a bowl of oatmeal and an apple a day for X amount of months to lose weight. How is your relationship with food now, and how do you make sure that you can still enjoy things in life, but
Mhm.
still retain the lean body that you have now?
I I think a lot of it came from like educating myself over like very minimally because I mean I still talk to you and I still don't get like macros and micros. I'm like, what the hell does this mean, dude? What the fuck? But I know like protein, greens, fiber, and like sugar. You know, if you just think about that, you can apply that to going out and having food with friends and like splurging. Like last night, went out, had a beautiful meal, and there was like, it was just beautiful food going out with my brothers, and we had a bunch of drinks. And, you know, but I knew like eating the food was like, oh, okay, there's like chicken skewers, and oh, this like dip thing might be bad for me, or these chips, but I'm gonna have that. But cool, there's chicken here. There's like this like quinoa grain bowl thing. Cool, healthy, healthy. Oh, beet salad. I'm gonna go nuts on that. So I think it's knowing like I can enjoy what is out there, you know, just also having an idea of what is good for me, what will agree with my body. Like I'm not gonna go out and I still will have ice cream and pizza and things like that, but I know as a lactose intolerant individual, like I am going to be feeling it tomorrow. It's going to show up on my skin. I'm going to break out. But that's just like the relationship you have with food. At this point, when you're basically 30, you know your triggers with food. You know it's going to cause some inflammation.
Exactly.
And if you haven't, you aren't paying close enough attention. You should know that if you have a bunch of salt, you're going to feel like puffy the next morning. Like people know that, you know, people know that. And I just don't get why they can't equate that to like, oh, when I'm out, if I just make sure I have like some chicken or some salmon with the fries and this and that, I won't feel as bad. But I'll still be able to enjoy going out with friends.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, I so much used to be the guy that would eat an entire pizza or an entire pint of ice cream in one sitting. Mm-hmm. And I think, at least for me, when I started to really love myself, I stopped doing that. Even when I'm like on a quote unquote, like I'm just going to enjoy today and going to eat whatever I want, I know I will feel like absolute shit the next day, or even like an hour after doing that to myself. So it's just not worth it. And I think that so much of growing up and having a better relationship with food, a better like love and appreciation for yourself and body is putting good food into your body and learning to really love good food. Like when I was fucking 10, like beet salad, get the fuck out of here. But give me a beet salad, give me a beet salad now. I'm like, I'm gonna fuck that shit up. That's delicious. And I think it's just a part of like learning to love those foods.
Exactly. And it's like finding that median between the overcorrection of really limiting and really, you know, malnourishing yourself versus gorging and overeating. You know, there's a middle ground where, you know, when I used to work out, I'd be like, okay, 5 or 6 days completely clean, stick to your diet, lots of water, whatever. And then that Saturday or Sunday where I would allow myself to do whatever I wanted, I would be eating like huge Chipotle bowl, 2 4x4 animal styles from In-N-Out. Like I would just gorge myself to the point now where I go to In-N-Out on like a Wednesday night with my brother. I'm just going to have a double, you know?
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it still, but do I have to take it to that point where I have limited myself so many times throughout the week that I feel like I have to do this to myself, that I deserve that uncomfortability? Like it's like you like sure some of those cravings are satisfied, but at the end of the day, is it really worth it? You know? So I've learned not to, like as I've gotten older, I don't really limit myself as much as I used to during the week. Like, oh, I will go out and have a drink on like a Tuesday, but I'm not going to save it for Saturday, Sunday and binge drink and black out, you know?
Yeah. And I think both of us know that so much of our like ability, one, to achieve the bodies that we have and maintain the bodies that we have is consistency. And I think that for the most part, yes, if we're going out with friends, you know, it's, you know, a Tuesday night and we get invited out to dinner, we're still going to go enjoy ourselves. But it's things that we do during those days that we're highly consistent. I think I can speak for you. I think you and I are both insane to the capacity that we can essentially eat the same thing every day and totally be okay, not get bored. And I think that often lends itself to our success. And it's not like we're having boring things. It's not like we're just having plain white rice, boiled chicken with salt and broccoli. It's like we're having pretty good. Like last night for dinner, I have this like brown sugar coffee rub that I put on a sirloin steak.
Oh my God.
You know, pan fried that up, had some rice, and like a light salad that was delicious. Maybe I'll just change up the protein, maybe I'll change up the carbohydrate, change up the vegetable, but like the recipe of like meat, carbohydrate, vegetable is very much the same, the ratios. And like for breakfast today, one of my favorite breakfasts, I had a little bowl of, to be honest, I had a bigger bowl of rice, 4 over easy eggs, some honey drizzled on top with some siracha. Dude, that was, yeah. Oh, fuck yeah, it was good. But it's still so healthy. So it's like, I think a lot of people associate health, foods that are healthy as foods that don't taste good.
They also associate it with like monotony. They think, I have to have the same thing every single day. It's like, no, you can, like you were saying, there's variations on that recipe or on that equation, as long as you just have a good idea of, did I have enough protein? Did I eat enough fiber or veggies today? Did I at least have some form of like good carbohydrate? And I'm not a nutritionist. I've never really spoken to nutritionists. I've just had my own, haven't even read about it in books. I just know what makes my body feel good. And because I move so much, like, me, in the mornings, I'm stretching and doing mobility, and I'm still working out later in the day. Maybe even still going on a run or a walk. Like I move my body a lot because it's also like a form of therapy for me. And if I'm not eating consistently or monotonously, like some people would say, I'm not going to be prepared to function the way I feel I need to be, happy.
And that's probably another key to your success. So a lot of people just assume that they can work out and they're going to achieve the results. But one of the big aspects of staying lean or losing weight is NEAT. It's non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So that's just a fancy way of saying, like, basically the more you move in a day outside of working out, the more calories you're going to burn, the higher metabolic rate you're going to have. So for a lot of people, that's easiest to just go walk. Just walk a lot. You stand if you've got, if you do have a desk, you get a standing desk. Walk around your office every hour or every 15 minutes or something. Like, get up, break up the monotony. Or like Lucas, he stretches every day. He walks every day. He then does his hour and a half workout, and then he's got the cutest dog, Peter the rabbit, that walks. He walks Peter a couple times a day too. Shout out Peter, my boy.
He's such a good boy.
He's such a good boy. Also partially blind. Not that has anything to do with him being a good boy. I force him to go
on the walks,
Yes.
He doesn't want to go on the walks. I force him to because I need to.
Yeah, so I think that also is a key to your success at achieving and maintaining the body you have.
Yeah, and like I was saying, it's a constant struggle and it's a constant journey. But I just pray for everybody that eventually you just find that Goldilocks zone for you, where you are where you want to be. Where I want to be may be aesthetically unachievable for somebody, but be where you're like happy and figure out where you can have a good relationship with food, still enjoy it. Like me and you are, I know you, one of my best friends, we're huge foodies, still go out and enjoy food. It's a part of life that if you don't, I think you're really missing out. You're really missing out if you're not enjoying food. And
so much of life is about sharing experiences, sharing food, sharing drinks.
Yeah. And I know so many people who are so rigid and so tightly wound when it comes to their diet. And I just look at them like, you're not enjoying life. Like, you're going to get to your 70s or 80s and start really thinking wow, I wish I had gone out to pizza with the boys, or, I wish I had done this or that, And I used to be that person for sure. But then I realized wait, I can still have a 6-pack, great definition, all of this, and still enjoy stuff. So
you probably don't maintain the same amount of leanness throughout the year. Like, I know me, certain times of the year I get a little more fluffy, and certain times of the year I get a little more lean. So I think that also recognizing it's a sliding scale that, during maybe the holidays you put on a little extra weight just because, there's delicious cookies and treats and more family dinners, and you're kind of fucked because Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's are 4 holidays back to back to back that in our culture we eat a shit ton of food on those days. So I can hear Peter tapping in the background, and drink a lot too. Yeah. So I think also recognizing that your body fluctuates throughout the year, but you said, staying in that Goldilocks zone of maybe X amount, finding it and how you can just, slide back and forth throughout the year is really important too.
Yeah. And I've definitely learned that because throughout the year, I know my body weight will fluctuate like 15 to 20 pounds, I just know it does. Like you were saying around the holidays, I know I'm just going to put on more weight, but also it's like Squat-tober. I'm going to like fucking lift heavy, eat a shit ton, and also just have fun with my lifting buddies, like the guys in the gym. I guess it's also like your relationship with working out and the community you develop
Yeah.
out of it. We're so fortunate to have an amazing community of people who love to work out, who eat healthy, who, there are some vegans in the mix. So like, we're always just, I don't know, it's like a really good community. And
It
I
is.
hope people can find that because it's hard to be on this journey alone. And I think going back to like those kids in the Husky, ready to order adult waistband fucking shorts, I think what they needed was like a community and like support. And that's also something that comes into your fitness journey. But for us, we got the support from comic books and like our role models, because like some of my role models were, the huge buff guys in like anime or like Superman or things like that, because I wasn't really reading, Jean Cocteau quite yet. So, I was looking up to like Spider-Man and all these guys, but they just happened to be
Yeah.
jacked. And I thought, oh, I
Yeah.
want to be like these guys.
To your point, I think like the key beyond consistency is surrounding yourself with people that are going to support your goals and not try to, there were so many times that I was on like when I was in my really rigid stage, or like I just didn't feel like drinking, people would be like, oh, come on, no, like what? It's almost like you think you're better than us type, like type deal.
Sure.
Or like
Yeah.
they're trying to, they don't want to put in I think oftentimes, honestly, people are jealous of you, like another person's discipline, their ability to
Yeah.
want to make changes. But before we nerd out on superheroes for a little bit, I do want to ask you, so all these things, all your personal experience, what would you say like your number one piece of advice to someone that is struggling with weight loss, changing their bodies, from, a kid that grew up as a fat kid, body dysmorphia, to, get started, continue down their path, feel better about themselves?
I think we already touched on it, just like find that Goldilocks zone, you know? Like if moving your body 1 to 2, maybe 3 days a week is all you can do, just do that. You've found your max. Nobody's gonna push you. I mean, you can only push yourself, but if you've already found that area it's already, we haven't even touched on the fact that it's so hard to fit fitness into your schedule regardless. People work
Yeah.
so much these days and have very little play time. Let's also ask them to work out. You know, I am just fortunate enough to have created a space where my playtime is working out, where I enjoy it now.
Yeah.
I look forward to working out. I look forward to moving my body. I look forward to just being a part of that like fitness community and people who will push you. So I guess finding that zone where you're happy, enjoy food, but also, be healthy.
Bingo
And drink
bongo.
and drink water. Drink a lot of fucking
Yes.
water.
Yeah, that's very key. Just even if you're not working out, that's just important for health reasons. But okay, dude. So, as a fellow nerd, as a fellow superhero lover, comic reader, sci-fi lover, what growing up? I'm just curious. What superhero comic, anime had the biggest impact on you that that you saw and you're like, I want that body? And then how has it changed to today? Like, is there a new superhero comic that you wanna look like more so, or do you not really care about that stuff anymore?
Well, for sure, like I think the one that sticks out the most to me was like Dragon Ball Z. Me and my brothers watched, when you're watching a whole episode arc and it's just a guy powering up and he's shirtless and just veiny and like the whole episode he's just there yelling and charging up and trying to do a super powerful kinetic energy bomb thing. It's like that's going to do something to your head. So I think my first, fitness goal was Goku as I was like 8, 9 years old, like as a little kid watching this fucking like freak of nature, Saiyan from Planet Vegeta, seeing him, that was the body I wanted. But now I'm looking at him, I'm like, no, oh yeah, they're from Planet Vegeta.
Ooh.
Pretty sure. Or no, Namek is where Piccolo's from. I'm pretty sure the planet's called Vegeta.
I've never watched Dragon Ball Z, but Vegeta is a funny name.
Yeah. Well, they
it kind of reminds me of, because sometimes I say Vegina as a name for.
Oh my god.
It's like a joke. Yeah.
But I'd have to say Goku for sure. And also just
Goku.
I guess going back to like support system and having role models as a little kid, Goku was just such a good guy. Such a good guy. To the point where his biggest fucking move, the Spirit Bomb, was him using like the joy and happiness and goodwill from like every cell of the planet, and like people just believing in him. So it was just always, he's like a good guy. So that's, I think, also that part I wanted to embody. But as I've gotten older, I'm like, okay, Goku's way too bulky. And then I think in your own fitness journey, you realize like, oh, I have physical and like genetic limitations. I am not going to get as big as this guy. I am not going to get, this, like, and everybody's bodies are different. Like, no, I'm not going to have the same quads as this guy. No, I'm not going to have the same biceps as that guy. Like, it is impossible. Your body, your bio-individual DNA, yourself is set up to be at a physical peak based on what you are, and I know I'm not going to look like Goku. So then I did start to look at other superheroes. I'm like, oh, what superheroes can I embody? And so you start looking at like Robin or like Nightwing, more lean individuals, Spider-Man. And yeah, it's interesting how like that all shifted as a kid or even as an adult. I'm like, okay, I can't be Goku, but I could be Spider-Man.
Right before we started recording this, Lucas was telling me about how Nightwing's butt has taken the internet by storm. Yes,
it has. Like, like people were in a frenzy. There's one artist, I don't know his name, but always draws like the perfect peach apple butt on Nightwing, to the point where I think in newer issues, people comment on Nightwing's butt in the comics. They're like, oh, that suit's making your butt look really good. But I don't know if you can do like an insert during this thing or whatever, but it's a good butt.
I'll try. I think I can.
I'm a gay man. I can just really appreciate it. It's a really good butt.
I mean, I think we can all appreciate nice butts.
Nightwing's is up there.
I think that kind of reminds me of that George Clooney Batman when they do the like close-ups with the batsuit nipples and the butt.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I can definitely agree. Like I think my hi Brett. Brett needs some attention right now. Brett is the dog that I've been dog sitting for the past month. My like superhero was definitely Spider-Man and Batman. So on the leaner side was Spider-Man, and on the bulkier side was Batman. But nowadays, I mostly just want to look like Mark Grayson from Invincible. He's just like lean. He's like kind of right in the middle. That's my ultimate goal.
Well, and like I was saying, you know, like where you're at and where I'm at, we're pretty close to like genetic potential. I feel like I can't get much bigger. I really don't want to be much leaner than I am now. But as I continue to work out and develop a relationship with my body, I'm like, oh wow, I've been working now consistently for 10 years, and like my body still is changing, but like I'm not getting bigger. I'm not getting not that bigger is better, but when you're talking superheroes, they're drawing them so fucking huge.
Yeah.
Like they're massive to the point where it's almost comical. Like you see, like, what's his face? Mr. Incredible can barely fit in his fucking car, So even Disney's doing it. And like Elastigirl's so thick, like that's a whole other meme. She's got like,
I can barely fit in my car.
All thighs. You can barely fit in your car. Well, I don't even drive a car anymore. That's how big I am, bro.
Yeah. When you're on your bike, you're like 3 times the width, right?
Yeah.
Just because those lats are, you can just fly away. Well, man, I appreciate you. I appreciate you being on this podcast, man. Thank you for opening up and talking about your experience regarding body dysmorphia and growing up as a fat kid. And yeah, I'm stoked we got to talk. Yeah, man, even though we talk every day because we work together, but
yeah, we do talk
at least recording a conversation for everyone to listen to.
Yeah, they're good. Thanks, man.
All right. Thank you, man. Thank you everyone for listening. I hope I have inspired and motivated you. I hope your inner fat kid is more proud of you today than they were before this. Fitness is a journey everyone should start, but no one should finish. So whether you're continuing or starting yours, I am so glad that we get to be a part of each other's. With fitness, Noah.